5 years ago, Dragon Ball Super ended. There were many highs, many lows, many laughs, many cries, and
the Grill Master.
Okay, this video is about Dragon Ball Super, obviously, but more specifically about the animation of Dragon Ball Super. Now, it's no secret that Dragon Ball Super during its runtime had some terrible artwork and animation. I mean, we got Goku looking like Toad, Frieza looking like the Rizzler Champ, and nobody, and I mean nobody, will ever forget about episode 5. Goku, my glorious king. What did they do to you, bro? Bro looked like it was ordered from MakeAWish.com. Bro was an advertisement as a free listing on Temu. Bro looks like a SpongeBob Freezy Pop when it comes out the packaging. Now, despite all of this, the animators still managed to significantly improve the artwork and animation every single arc. We got so many great moments in the Goku Black arc and the Tournament of Power, and honestly, I could practically spend all day listing the endless amounts of good moments of animation that outweighs the bad, but that would be redundant. At least that's what I would think if it wasn't for this. Now, I would like to point out that this is not even a fair comparison. For one, we are comparing a TV show to a movie. Movies are held to a much higher standard for animation, artwork, and music choices. This is for the simple reason that movies actually make money. Movies have box office revenues. TV shows, they have Goku bobblehead merchandise. Basically, TV shows don't actually make all that much money. They're really just made as an advertising platform for merchandise. So to compare a movie to a TV show as far as animation and artwork goes, is just not a valid argument because they're not held to the same production standard. Not to even mention that we are comparing the worst from Dragon Ball Super versus the best from Fusion Reborn. The two examples being shown in this video are cherry-picked for the sole purpose of dunking on the Dragon Ball Super animators for laughs, and implying that the animators are rusty and no longer know what they're doing when they couldn't be further from the truth. The animators are the exact same people who worked on Dragon Ball Z back in the day. The animation, the artwork, all the drawings, they're all done by the exact same people. But then you might be asking yourself, okay, if the same people who animated Dragon Ball Z are also animating Dragon Ball Super, why does the animation look so bad? Why wouldn't we just assume that they are simply out of practice given this context? Well, I will tell you exactly why. Dragon Ball Super was announced in April and released in July. What this means is that the animators were effectively given a 3 months notice to get their shit together or sink the ship. And to their credit, the first few episodes of Dragon Ball Super actually looked pretty fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't anything amazing, but it was consistent. It was only until episode 5 that things started to fall apart. The deadline for Dragon Ball Super's episodes airing weekly suddenly caught up, and God forbid they could not delay episodes, not even by a singular day, because Toei decided to screw the animators even further in the ass by having a rule that they had to produce the episodes on a weekly basis no matter what. It doesn't matter if the series burns down for all they care. They just want it produced and sent out into the world. This, coupled with the fact that the animators were given such little notice about Dragon Ball Super in the first place, it's just a whole recipe for disaster. Oh, and did I mention that Dragon Ball Super was scheduled to be made for 131 freaking episodes? Yeah, that's right. Dragon Ball Super, a series that was announced at the last minute, suddenly wants to produce 131 episodes. The animators were getting straight up mappa before it was even popular. Now, regardless of that fact, we were still given a ton of good moments of animation, where Dragon Ball Super actually pulled off some really good scenes. The Universe 6 arc, although not all the way consistent, had some good moments of animation. The Goku Black arc was also pretty good, especially the fight between Vegito and Zamasu. And the Tournament of Power just... wow, oh my god, this shit looked good. And you might notice how I left out the first 2 arcs to Dragon Ball Super, and the reason for that is because those actually had terrible animation. However, there are movie alternatives! Now look, I understand not liking Dragon Ball Super for the first 2 arcs because the art and animation looked like someone came into the office and literally smashed the animator's hand while they were just trying to do their damn job. But we have alternatives! If you do not like the first 2 arcs of Dragon Ball Super, watch the movies! Is it really that hard? There's literally nothing that changes between the series and the movies, other than Beerus being on steroids in the TV series. I mean, seriously, bro's infinitely stronger and infinitely angry in the TV series for no reason. Also, on top of that, the animation from the movies is at a theatrical level. For you mindless hooligans that cannot comprehend what that means, it means that the movie animation is good and the TV series animation is bad. Well, not necessarily bad, but not held to the same standard. I do not understand constantly critiquing Dragon Ball Super for having really bad animation in the first 2 arcs when there are clear alternatives. If you don't like Dragon Ball Z for its slow pace, oh, we have an alternative for that. Dragon Ball Z Kai. Just watch that damn show and leave Dragon Ball Z alone. Now, I will give 1 point to people critiquing Dragon Ball Super's artwork because the artwork for Dragon Ball Super is simply horrendous. If we compare the artwork of Dragon Ball Z versus Dragon Ball Super, what is the key difference? Now, other than the obvious, Dragon Ball Z is all grainy, it's all gritty, and it's all like, oh yeah, this is a 90s show. Oh, Dragon Ball Super looks like modernized animation. It's not grainy, therefore it's bad. The main difference is that Dragon Ball Super has these weird-ass white highlights. Now, I don't know what genius at Toei decided it would be a genius idea to wax up all the Dragon Ball characters, but it was a terrible idea. For one, the artwork doesn't even look good. It looks all plasticky and unrealistic. Okay, I need some realism for my drawing. The second reason why this animation style sucks is because every individual frame is going to require a lot more time and effort to produce. All because we have these stupid wax highlights. The animation also needs to flow smoothly, which is exceptionally hard to do the more you make an art style look rigid and inflexible. That's why movies like the Broly movie look so good animation-wise. It has a simple animation style that's easy to adapt and exaggerate to the point of making it do whatever you want it to without it looking too jarring. But the second you have a series where the art style is designed to look like a desktop wallpaper 24/7, you tend to run into a few problems. Animators need to draw everything frame by frame, and the more detail an art style has to it, the more time and effort goes into each individual frame. It is also the reason I hate posts such as these. You are literally comparing a single frame of a TV series to a whole ass drawing. Now, do you want to tell the class how long that drawing took? Because I can almost guarantee it was made in far more time than the animator who drew this frame. Now look, I'm not saying it's impossible to make animation look good while having everything look like a wallpaper. I mean, we have movies like Fusion Reborn who did it just fine. But for a TV series that is already on a cramped production schedule, Toei and the animators just did not do themselves any favors here. In fact, by the time we get to the Tournament of Power, we see very minimal Goku wax animation. The Broly movie has none. And the superhero movie, I think, has like very minimalistic to like none of that highlight shit, but I don't know, I haven't seen the movie in a while. The point of all of this is Toei and the animators made some pretty stupid decisions when it came to animating Dragon Ball Super. For one, retelling the movies is just dumb and completely unnecessary, especially when we were given literally no changes other than Beerus fighting at 70% of his power, and giving the animators 3 months to prepare themselves for a 131 episode series airing weekly. I know they're doing that with One Piece, but they're also still using the same sound effects from the 90s.
Beauty out there.
I understand that people are frustrated with the animation decisions that caused Dragon Ball Super to have a rough launch. However, the comparison between Super and Z's animation is stupid. For one, the art style of Dragon Ball as a whole, not just Dragon Ball Z, not just Dragon Ball Super, as a whole, has evolved. If you compare artwork from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, you will know that the art style has changed. If you compare the art style from Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super, you will know that the art has changed. It is just a well-known fact that I will not go into excessive detail about in this video, but when you are comparing artwork from an older point in the series to now, when we know the art style is constantly changing, it's simply not a fair comparison. I understand that you may have a preference for one particular art style, but to suddenly say that Dragon Ball Super's art style just isn't good because it isn't the same as what Dragon Ball Z used to be, is just simply nonsensical. They are different. and differences mean that each style will have its own inherent strength and weakness. I could compare Dragon Ball Super Broly to Dragon Ball Z Cooler all day long and say, oh my gosh, Dragon Ball Z Cooler movie looks like garbage because of this frame right here. But am I? No! Because I touch grass, I look at trees, I go to work, I live my life. I'm not chronically online all the time. If you want something to complain about Daima. How about instead we celebrate the accomplishments of the animators more? They were put through hell when animating Dragon Ball Super, and yet to this day, they are still constantly being trashed about the first 2 arcs. Why don't we say as a community, hey, this animation piece was pretty good, and hey, this animation piece was also pretty good. Why do we have to keep making these stupid memes comparing 1995 animation to 2015 animation being like, oh my gosh, the animators are so trash at animating Dragon Ball Super, man, this just freaking suck. They have like all the time, all the resources in the freaking world. Oh man, I could draw this way better than they can. It's just, maybe we should appreciate the animation more. Send them messages, give them a thumbs up. Tell them they're doing a good job instead of sending hate mobs that make them have to private their accounts on Twitter. And yes, I'm using the dead name because I am never gonna call it X. So, in conclusion, Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z have different animation styles. Dragon Ball Super had a rough launch, but managed to recover itself and build an action-packed classic that fans such as myself will enjoy for many years to come.